When
Anyone who's interested, there is a key meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. You can log in if you are a glutton for punishment.
Is it still mostly procedural?
Yes, exactly. I was going to say is that we haven't actually begun to look at substantive
Right. Oh,
issues.
I think I'll wait until you get to the meat of the thing.
Yeah.
when does the decision have to be made?
Our target is to make a recommendation for consideration at the select board meeting on September 21st.
Oh, great.
So it's not much more than a month. So there is, between now and then, there are at least 10 meetings scheduled to go over various aspects of the proposals.
Oh, boy.
So,
There goes your August.
anyone, if they are open to the public, so anyone is interested, and I think quite frankly, the developers all attend. So there are people there who I don't recognize on the Zoom. But. Let's see. You think this is it? Should we give it one more minute? Karen, are you there? Ask to unmute. I'm going to assume that Karen. Oh, there you are.
Hello,
Hi,
can you
Karen.
hear
How
me?
are you? Thank you so
No,
much
you
for
can't
logging. Thank you so much for logging in and making our quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5, and we have 9 members in total. And John, after today, you will be official.
Yeah.
So you can certainly join in.
I don't know. No, this is a Zoom.
Are you talking to us, Karen?
Can
Okay,
I'm here.
that's all right. That's all we need. How are you, Judy?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
It's garbled.
Okay. Well, I'm in the car,
Excellent.
so on the phone, and I may lose you. But if you lose me, if you lose me, do you still have a quorum?
It's only until we have to, if someone asks the question, and as long as no one asks for that question as to whether we have a quorum, we have a quorum. We have
Just
it
like
at
a
the
town
outset,
meeting.
and so we're good to go. All
Okay.
right, I'm going to start the meeting by, first of all, welcoming John. John, do you want to give us the 1-minute overview of yourself and what committee you represent and how long you've been in Wellfleet?
I am representing, or I'm a liaison from the Open Space Committee.
Great.
And as I told people earlier, I've been on the committee for almost a month. And so I'm finding my way through all this. I have a background in health administration and public health. I've worked for mostly in the public sector, either with the Department of Public Health or the city of Cambridge or the city of Boston. And I retired in October, and we've been here roughly 12 years, but sort of we're now permanent.
Well, welcome, and we're very glad to have you join us.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind.
And we have many exciting things happening right now, John, so it's a good
Okay.
time to join. And I've been caught up with other things. I don't have it on, well, I'll tell you what, since we're introducing John, I want to send a letter of thank you to John Kumbler for his service on open space. And John is replacing him. So if that's okay with everyone, I will go ahead and do that.
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Okay, we have the minutes of the July 15th meeting. I'll give you a second to look at them and then I'll entertain a motion.
Are you sharing them on your screen or?
I wasn't going to. Do you need me to?
Did you
Sharon?
send them in an email?
Yes, they came on with the announcement of the meeting.
You know what, Gary? I'm no longer receiving emails at verizon.net.
Is there a change in your email?
It's
Sharon?
gmail.com.
The same beginning, just at Gmail?
Yep.
My apologies, I didn't know that.
No, I sent a word out, but it's easy
No,
to. lose
I think
track
you
of it.
may well have sent me that, but I didn't notice it. I didn't catch it. Okay,
No
my
problem.
apologies, Sharon. I could try to share.
I'm sure the minutes are fine.
Okay. They're very
too.
straightforward.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Susan, for doing that. Okay, who would like to move the minutes?
I'll move the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Karen. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll take the vote. All those who are in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Very good. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very good. So the minutes are passed. The next item on the agenda is the 95 Lawrence update. So I'll give John a quick overview. John, you may or may not know that we have a very large, probably the largest project in the history of Wellfleet, for 46 units of affordable housing. And it's on the property 95 Lawrence, which is the land across from the school that surrounds the ball field.
Right, I was at the town meeting and
Oh,
heard
excellent.
discussion around that.
Excellent. So we've gone through a lengthy process of putting out an RFP, and we just got the responses back. And we're very encouraged by the number and strength of the proposals that we've received. And so we're now going through the evaluation process of those proposals with a goal of making a recommendation, as I say, on
Can I
September
just-
21st. Sure, Sharon.
There's a nice little summary chart of the proposals in the Independent today.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not full information, but it does, it does summarize things nicely, I think,
Very
and
good.
compare the three proposals.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just trying to remember where I just read about it, and that is it.
Right.
Yeah,
So, and if anyone is interested, they are on the town website in their entirety.
Oh, good.
So if anyone has trouble sleeping, they can log
everyone
on,
has a couple weeks.
right, and look at them. No, I mean, the degree of work that must go into preparing
Amazing.
them, it must be tremendous, as well as the cost. So you can really appreciate they must think they have a viable opportunity here, and it's an attractive project for them. So again, we're encouraged by that. More than we got on either side of us. Truro recently did one, and Eastham did one a couple years ago and didn't get as strong a response as we did. So we're encouraged by that. And roughly, it's about a $20 million project.
You know, it was the original concept to have a major part of the structure down by the road.
Susan, I'm sorry, I lost you there for a minute.
Oh,
Could you
so
repeat?
I think my impression from the Independent was that there were going to be
Sure.
many units or some units right down by the road as opposed to up by the school.
Right.
Yep.
All of the proposals have either a continuous or a two areas, one by the old COA and one up where the temporary police station was
Right.
in that area. And that's still, that is true of the proposals.
You want me to back in?
Nope.
Run over.
I think that might be Karen. Okay, are there other questions about 95 Lawrence as we go forward now? So the task force is meeting, and as I say, the next one is tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and they are public meetings, and if you're welcome to log in and listen. We have completed our 7th buy down on August 13th. That's good news. Yay.
Good.
John, for your benefit, we have a program where we apply for what's called community preservation funds.
Uh-huh.
And we apply for those to give a grant to a first-time home buyer to buy an existing home in Wellfleet, and they have to be income qualified. We give them a substantial amount of money. This grant was $175,000, and it is then to reduce the purchase price, but then the reduced price remains in effect for the life of the home. So they can't sell it for more. So in this case, it's actually scary. The price, the house sold for $415,000. That was the least expensive house for sale in Wellfleet. It's only 800 square feet, and it's right close to Route 6. And still, it went for $415,000. So,
And that was a deal.
That was a deal. The
Huh.
sellers actually reduced their asking price to accommodate the buy down purchasers. So that is the situation in Wellfleet in terms of home ownership today. But anyway, so the grant is for $160,000, and then $15,000 was held in escrow for repairs. It needs a new roof, it needs some windows. And our goal is not to burden the homeowner with expenses that they can't afford even when they get in the house. So that money is being held in reserve. So it's $415 less $160. And there's a very small escalator, so it will be at that price for essentially the life of the house.
Maybe Karen could mute herself unless she's speaking.
Karen, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. It's very right, but maybe mute until you want to talk.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so that was our 7th buy down completed. The closing was on the 13th of August. Our 8th buy down has been approved by the Housing Trust. So you may recall that we gave the Housing Trust a grant of $500,000 from our CPA funds. John, are you familiar with CPA?
No, but I can look it up. I don't want
Okay,
it.
no, that's all right. I think it doesn't hurt to just review it. So there is a fund of money that the
Mhm.
town has, and it's based upon an override on real estate taxes. So when you get your bill, on the bottom, it says 3% for CPA,
Mhm.
community preservation. That's what that is. And then there is a match, not 100% match, but it's a substantial match from the state. And
Okay.
it can be used for 4 things, and this is important for you. One is open space. So the purchase of land or other uses for open space. The second is housing. The third is recreation. And the fourth is historical.
Okay.
So it's only in those 4 areas. And just as an aside, all of the money that went to open space was going for the debt on the land bank, but it's just about paid off. So you now have beginning to have money that you can spend on other things, CPA money. So you should think
Okay.
about that. Okay, so the Housing Trust gave us money for another buy down. And what's important there was we petitioned the state, Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD, to allow us to use the same list and lottery selections that we had done for the last one. And why that's important is it saves us about $10,000 for the cost of actually doing the advertising. Plus, it's a huge drain on the applicants.
So they agreed to that?
They did indeed.
Excellent.
So the second person on the lottery list, so the applicants have to go through a qualification process, and all those who qualified go on to into the lottery bag, and we select out numbers, and so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera. So the second person, who is a longtime Wellfleet resident, I believe it's fair to say, I can describe her as a single parent with children. And she's very excited about the opportunity to find a house. She has the same challenge as the previous person to find a house within that means. Sharon, have you ever talked to that person?
No, David, David runs into her from time to time, and I just know she's excited,
Right.
and I thought because she has been around a long time, it's
Right.
possible that she has some connections that maybe will be helpful to her. I don't know that for a fact, but I think
Right.
it might be true.
I think she may have family too here.
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, so
But she needs to find a house.
she
Yeah.
needs to find a house, and the state, in their wisdom, caps the amount that they will be willing to spend. It depends upon the size of the house. But it's, if I remember correctly, the very, very highest amount for a 3 or 4 bedroom house is $450,000. So the
Or a
median,
4 or 5 bedroom house, but she's not going to find one for.
no, she's not.
I mean, the
No,
last one was
no.
800 square feet for.
I understand a 2 bedroom house, and they were small. Trust me, they were small rooms.
Yeah, but you know, I have this quote from the AARP from some research they did, and they were talking about the average size of homes in the 1950s and the numbers of people that live in them. And it's like the size of the houses have almost tripled in that time, and the number of people living in them have gone down.
Yeah,
So, you know, I think we need to reevaluate what is necessary to live a happy, healthy life.
but you still have to find one at that price.
you do.
You're right. I mean,
But there are modest homes out there. So,
right, no, right. I mean, my brother, my sister, and my parents lived in a 1-bedroom apartment for many years, you know, and
exactly.
we didn't actually think anything of it. There was just life.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, okay. So this person is now looking for a home, and we have put in an application, which was approved yesterday, to the CPA for yet another buy down. Why the buy down is so effective for us is that roughly, so the 95 Lawrence project, give you some numbers.
Mhm.
The average cost to build 1 unit of affordable rental, which is even smaller than the 800 square feet that I described before, is $420,000. $420,000, not including any cost for the land.
And that's
So,
a rental.
yes, but even if it was ownership, I mean, it wouldn't change. I mean, but still. So we have put in a request. This time we put in a request to CPA for $210,000. $200,000 would go towards the purchase of the house, and $10,000 towards the administration of the program. And the program is administered through the Community Development Partnership, and works well. So it's really, at $200,000, it sounds insane, but it's actually quite a good deal for us. And it doesn't put any strain on resources or new construction or added burden on water resources.
And it's home ownership.
Home ownership, absolutely. So it's a program that has worked well for us. But anyway, they did approve it. I can still report, sadly, that we have no idea how much money we have because the town is still going through their accounting review. And we thought there was going to be a town meeting in September where they were going to consider the budget or the accounting. And that has now been pushed to December. So
December.
December, yeah,
December.
the first week in December.
Huh.
So even though
Hopefully we can be inside then.
yes,
Don't hold your breath.
on this in December, what will they do? you're right, Sharon. What will they do?
I'm not sitting out on Baker Field,
No,
the field of
I'm
the
not sure I
school.
want to sit in the school with 200 other people.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see. But anyway, so we're still waiting to see whether in fact we have the money to fund this. The other reality from a buy down perspective is in the 95 Lawrence proposals, all of the developers have asked for substantial contribution of CPA funds towards the project. And that is consistent with what other towns do. And that request is in the $500,000 range. So we may need to come up with another strategy. Should we continue with our buy down? Should we apply it to 95 Lawrence? Should we borrow money against future CPA receipts?
What does the CPA bring in an average year from the taxes?
From our direct, from the real estate override,
Right.
yeah, it's roughly $600,000.
But does it have any other source? It gets
Yeah,
matched?
and then the state money, it's varied widely. But last year, there was a surplus in the state. And so we got something on the order of $250,000 additional. But there's other people making use of it. Some of you may or may not know that the playground at the school was torn down. There was Sharon, do you know any more details on this?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so there was some incident and the fire department said it was no longer safe and they tore down the playground. So there's no playground for equipment now at the school.
Oh, that's terrible.
Terrible. So the school has put in a sizable request in excess of $350,000 to buy a new playground, but we're going through that process now. But again, there are demands on that money besides housing.
Well, all the more reason to go after the short-term rental tax.
Exactly right. So I think we need to look at other sources. Okay, so that's an update on the buy down. Sharon, do you want to give a report on the very great Housing Angels program, and Susan as well?
Well, honestly, Susan was the Housing Angels program did have several branches to it, but I'm sorry to say that the gallery sales of buttons and the yoga piece have sort of not materialized well. There's buttons in the galleries, but we're not really getting a lot of play on them. But the Housing Angels in story and song was a very nice event. It was well attended, and Susan really gets a lot of the credit for this. I mean, she really.
I am very willing to share it 3 ways. I mean, Stephen and Sharon and I did a good job, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't me. And, in part because I wasn't there, I have gotten such wonderful feedback from all sorts of people, and, the spirit and the energy and the everything.
Nice.
It was nice. And, I watched it on FaceTime. Janet had her phone set up for me. And, it just, I don't know, I was in tears every other minute. I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
It really was. And I think everybody left, feeling very good. I would have, on the way out the door, several people approached me and said, and this is the downside. I mean, the downside is just, I wish I had gotten up and said, just so you know, you're seeing a lot of people here. Some of them are seasonal residents. Some of them are people who I know are in affordable housing or who I know are searching for places to live. And And just so you know, there aren't more of those people here because they're out working 2 and 3 jobs in order to afford what they can find.
Right.
You know, so on my way out the door, you know, I chatted with several of those people, and I went to the Fox and Crow and chatted with another one of those people. She's like, I'm getting kicked out of my rental.
Yeah.
The house is being sold and I have no place to move to. So, so anyway, we have to keep pushing that message home. But it was very good. And the amount of money that was raised, I think, you know, $10,000. Thank you, Susan, for your nice contribution. And, you know, I think more will be coming in. I'm hoping that that Gary and Elaine's, you know, little talk there gave people a thought of, gee, I inherited this house, you know, and I'm not using it. So maybe I'll sell it to a local person, a year-round person. Maybe I'll put it in the buy down program or something, you know. I'm hoping something will materialize that way, but if you don't put the word out, you won't get the response. So,
Right.
And I have a couple more people who are just coming up with their amount. And I think one of them at least is going to be significant.
good.
So,
I mean,
Good.
we can't count it till it happens, but I'm
Right.
having dinner with them on Saturday night. So it will definitely be a topic of conversation.
so
Well, you know, it's never really about how much money you raise because, you know, I keep thinking of that bumper sticker that used to go around about, imagine a day when schools will have all the money that they need and the space program will have to have bake sales. I sort of feel like it's a bake sale for the space program, you know, but it's the awareness that I think is important, and people feeling included, the larger community feeling included in solving the issue. I think that's what's going to be important.
okay, I wanted to pick up on 2 things. First of all, the amount raised is now in excess of 12,000. So, but can we do anything to help with the button sales?
Well, I mean, we sold 12 of them at night. And that was
Yeah,
great.
I mean, right. I mean, are there other events that we can piggyback with? And we should have done it at the seasonal residence thing, I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah,
are
that
there
would've
other
been good.
events that are coming up that we can help to push them?
You know, I don't know. Certainly they'll be used, they can be used next year too. So if it, you know,
Excuse me.
and I have to admit that my energy, you know, I'm a good starter, but I'm not always a good sustainer.
If we,
Sharon, are there more buttons available?
Yeah. There's probably about 20 left.
Do you think it's crazy to ask Preservation Hall to, you know, sell them at some of their events? I mean, I'll ask them anything, so I'm happy to ask.
Sure. That's not a bad idea. I mean, everybody loves them.
you know,
Yeah,
the problem, I was gonna say, maybe we could put them in the library, but are people coming in the library, Judy?
They are,
They are?
Only for half an hour at a time though, right?
right.
Yeah, but nonetheless, if we, like, we could put them in the COA, if that's beginning to open up, or we put them in the library. If we rotated them, Sharon?
The library does have that nice display case. That might be a fun place for them to be for a week or two.
Just right on the front desk or on the table opposite the circulation desk. Judy, will
Yeah.
you check with, I can't think of her name now, but the library director,
Jennifer.
Jennifer, thank you, and ask her whether we could do that for a week or something?
And what are we selling the buttons for?
Well, we're selling them for the housing trust,
Yes.
but how much are we
But
selling
so
them for?
we're at $100 donation to the housing trust. I mean, certainly we could sell more if we lowered the price, but
No, let's not do that yet.
yeah, no.
And the other thing is, if there's any foot traffic, do you want to check with Terry at the COA, or do you want me to, or?
Well, you could. I mean, I don't even know what's happening at the COA these
Yeah, the
days,
last
so-
time I sent them, actually, I sent them the housing angels thing. She said, I don't mind putting it up, but there's nobody here.
Yeah, right.
I suspect there's not much going on there at the moment.
Yeah, so-
I will ask Janet because, they have a summer full
Yeah.
schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if Max would do anything.
Hmm.
Where would they put it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud of.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do something at Porch Fest.
Oh, that would be good. When is
That's a
that?
good idea. It's
That's the
coming up.
28th. It's the 28th.
Oh, why don't we, who is the organizer of that?
Well, Andrea Pluhar is a lead person, but I think they're selling their own buttons at Justina Carlson's vintage shop there in the barn behind Emac and Bolio. And she might be willing. I can talk to her about that.
Okay.
It's the grocery store. They wouldn't do it.
But Sharon, it
Mhm.
wouldn't hurt to ask Stephen whether that's a possibility or not.
Ask Stephen what?
Russell, whether he would be willing to approach the market.
Oh, I can't even imagine it at the grocery store. I feel like that.
No?
Yeah, that just doesn't seem like the right venue to me. There's too much going on.
Okay.
Granted, everybody does go in there, but
Okay. But think about other outlets, and
Yeah.
if we can help, we certainly will. The other thing I wanted to mention was I already have a half a dozen comments about what are we doing next year.
Yeah, and Stephen apparently is already planning.
Already working on it. I heard the same thing. So
that's good.
I know.
And
rest up
the
now.
other thing is that even though I approached Susie Nielsen like in the spring, she already had her summer lineup planned out, but she said next year she'd really like to get into this, housing theme and sense of place and all those kinds of things. So she could be a really big help in kind of getting it in the arts and do a whole
Right.
show about it. So
And who is she?
Susie Nielsen, she has, her gallery is Farm Projects. It's behind is it Berta Walker? Anyway, she's been around for a long time, and she's a very thoughtful artist, and she has very thoughtful exhibits. If you haven't been to her space, no, it's Francis. It's down and below Francis. If you haven't been to her space, it's a fun thing to check out on a walk around town.
Okay, so one of the things I found was most compelling about it was the discussion or the talk that Gary Joseph did.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too.
Of
Oh,
the
wow.
self-help home building.
Yep.
So Judy is the only person who was around then who was involved with that program. And you've tried over the years to recreate it or do it again, or?
I did. The program was sponsored by USDA,
Right.
part of the rural home development, and they dropped the program and they would not let us use their protocols.
Huh.
And we had hopes maybe that the CDP would, be the coordinator, and there are so many problems with it. One of the things we found was that banks didn't want to lend money to people who were going to build their own houses. This is what we ran into in the Old Wharf neighborhood. And that was years ago. I mean, things may have changed, but they said, oh yeah, Uncle so-and-so is gonna do your plumbing, and cousin so-and-so is gonna do your masonry work, and then something happens and they don't show up and the house doesn't get built on time, and if we're going to give a mortgage to, on a house, we want to see it built in, and so that there's something we have equity in, and you're going to build it yourself. That's not a good lending situation. So that when we tried to do that in Old Wharf, that was the original plan for those 4 houses in that neighborhood, that people were going to build their own. We couldn't make it happen financially. So for many reasons, we did try to recreate that program, and we just couldn't make it work.
So how did you do the houses at Old Wharf, Judy?
The land was donated by the town.
Yeah.
And the people bought it for some very nominal amount. And we actually put out an RFP for someone who would contract individually with the homeowners to build their house. So the homeowners didn't build their house. The same contractor built them all, but didn't build them as response to an RFP from the town as a town project.
Right.
McShane's nephew, whose name I can't remember, and they were developers, signed individual contracts with the 4 people who have homes and built their homes to their specifications.
And where did the money?
We just arranged everything.
Where did the money come from to pay for that?
I believe the homeowners went and got mortgages because they had a builder who was building their homes. So then, it wasn't a self-home building situation. It was a regular contractor, and there was a contract to build such and such, and then the bank would lend money.
So I'm confused. Gary Joseph's model is not that one.
No.
I'm sorry, these are 2 separate projects.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, we tried to recreate Gary Joseph's project. Gwen Pelletier was the person from community development who coordinated that. It was a USDA federal government program that had all the specifics of how that worked. Everybody built all their decks, and then they all built their first floor, and they all put up they all worked on each other's homes.
Right.
And that took a general contractor to coordinate all the building. I mean, it's like with Habitat, and they're building several homes at once. It was that kind of a thing. And once USDA got out of that business and wouldn't let us use their specifics to put together our own plan, they said, oh no, you can't do that.
So the Old Wharf one was later. That was
the Old Wharf one came after that, but originally it was the same idea. Open space, located 4 lots that they said would be appropriate for home building, not for open space, to preserve, that they would be good building lots. And they actually referred them to the housing authority, and the town made those. It was town land, and they made those lots available for homes. And like I said, because of the financing, the banks wouldn't give mortgages to people to build their own homes. We had to get a contractor who agreed to build affordable homes for those individuals. Harry Turkanian was at the closing for the bank. So Harry may remember more than myself. It was he and I at the closing.
So are those homes now forever affordable?
Yes, they are deed restricted. Yes.
We had one turnover last year, the year before, and was sold affordably.
Yeah, that's great.
It was.
Yeah, so I think they were the first ones that we built that were deed restricted. There was a whole new thing about how to set up the deed restrictions on those properties and how they would resell. The town would have first refusal on them, and it was quite involved.
So, community banks now are required to do certain things to help their communities.
It was Cape Cod 5 that wrote the mortgages for those houses.
I mean, is there any reason to approach them now and see if they have any creative ideas about ways they could help us?
I think it would make more, I think you're on the right track, is that Siemens and Cape Cod 5 and Cape Community Bank, we should go talk to them. But I think we have to sort of develop a plan.
Right.
We have something to go sell to them.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
So I'm interested in the idea that open space identified some lots
Yep.
that could be used for building instead of open space. I'd love to see more of that cooperation between the two committees.
In the past, Bruce Herndon and I have talked, and we went to look at the Howard Court near you.
Mm-hmm.
And whether there was potential there to buy it in combination with open space. And Payne Hollow is a combination of open space. And John, there's a project at Payne Hollow that has been in the works for
20 years.
18 years, yes, still under protest. But anyway, it's a combination of open space and affordable housing. So,
but I thought that was kind of green lighted recently.
It is in process, Susan. There's a discussion about putting up escrow money to safeguard their water, but as far as I know, nothing has happened on that. But be that as it may, I think the challenge is, how do we make home ownership a reality for working people in Wellfleet? And we really need to come up with a strategy to do that.
I think in addition to that, I would like to apply a similar kind of model to the construction of ADUs.
Yeah.
Like a self-help, self-support group.
Well, right. And it starts, I think we have to define our idea and then quantify how much money we're really talking about.
Well, the ADUs might not even be asking for any money. It might be homeowners who have the appropriate size lot and meet all the requirements, but just don't know how to go about it. And then with a group of other people, say there's 4 or 5 people who want to do it, then they can help work on each other's the construction and help each other with all those questions.
Hi, Ann. Thank you for joining us. If Ann comes in. I think the question is is this 2 things or 2 shades of the same thing? I think it's 2 different things.
I think it's 2 different things too.
Yeah. But so let's hold up. I don't want to short shift ADUs, but I also want to not lose focus on the home ownership. So the question I have is, what's the next step? Should we try and sit down and construct at least a vision?
Unless there's affordable land available, it's going to be a pretty hard sell.
I can tell you that the trust has made several attempts to buy land. And either the land is problematic or it's very expensive.
We mentioned partnering with open space. I mean, one of my 2 ridiculous fantasies are the Seashore and the Conservation Trust.
Right.
But, we have little recourse. I mean, I don't know if it's worth a conversation with either one of those groups.
Maybe we should go. John, does open space, I know you've only been on the committee for a month, but does open space actually own land, or is all the land town-owned land or conservation land?
It's town-owned land that we are responsible for, and then the Conservation Trust is looking at more private property, is my
So
understanding.
they actually own some land.
I don't think they own land. They maneuver to buy.
They buy it and they give it to the town?
I think it's in trust.
It's in trust, and I guess they're responsible for it.
Oh, sure.
Who is the head of the
Who's out in the
Conservation
back?
Trust now? I know it used to be Denny, but
Denny's still head of it, I think.
Denny's still head of
is
it.
that right?
Yeah, and he attends all of our meetings.
Maybe we should invite Denny to a meeting
Yeah, that's a good idea.
and see if he wouldn't be willing to talk about the Conservation Trust. And is there anything that we could do together?
Yeah, creative problem solving.
Right.
It's sort of like the Nantucket model where their land trust, you know, they are, they have agreed with
Right.
any land donations or any land purchases to really look at each parcel in terms of, is it buildable? And can we use this, some portion of this property for housing first?
Well, that's also Martha's Vineyard.
Well, it's one or the other.
Oh, it's not both.
It might be both.
Martha's Vineyard is the one where Gary had that great video that I'm
Right.
obsessed with because it seemed like they had so many.
No, they've done a great job of, I mean,
Yeah.
they have a similar or even worse situation. Hello, Ann, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry to be late. I'm
No-
kind
no
of
problem
hung up here
whatsoever.
at the gallery.
So I think the question is, how do we get land? And if we can make some common cause with conservation, we should explore that.
Conservation and I would think open space, but that's that's something I'll bring back. to the-
Yeah, if you, would you?
It's on my list.
Very good. All right, do you want,
I have,
Ann, I'm sorry.
no,
Just-
if I could interrupt for a moment.
Sure,
Eric,
sure.
I gave you a heads up that I had to leave.
Oh, you do?
I have to be on Lieutenant's Island in about 10 minutes to
All right.
turtles, so.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay.
And right now, our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, the 23rd at 4 o'clock.
Okay,
So we'll
And
certainly include you, but welcome aboard.
okay.
Thursday, the
thank you very
23rd
much.
of
This has been
September?
Really interesting.
No,
What?
of September. Okay,
September.
yeah.
Did I misspeak?
Should
Okay,
we-
thank you again.
Okay,
Should we
Thank you.
invite,
Ha-
can we
happy
invite
turtling.
Denny to the September meeting?
I was gonna say, should we invite, do you want, Susan, do you want to do that? Do you want me to do that?
I'm happy to do that. I'll write. to
Sure, ask him, just tell him we're trying to, kick the can around
Denny.
about,
Brainstorm.
right, is there any, and Denny has been helpful in the past. When we looked at senior housing.
Susan, can I ask you, are you likely to be coming back to the Cape at any time soon?
Yes, so what I've actually been doing, I've snuck in and out a couple of weekends.
Good for you.
And so, my medical thing is I have to be in New York every 3 out of 4 weeks for a day.
Uh,
So given that we have this little airplane,
yeah,
that gives us plenty of flexibility. So
right.
I am also planning to be in Wellfleet from a week from now till through Labor Day.
Well, so one of the things you and I had a conversation at one point about flying over to Martha's Vineyard
Yes,
and having a conference with some of the people that are involved in all these great housing projects there.
yeah, that would be terrific. And the problem with the airline that I'm affiliated with is that it's so weather dependent.
Of
We,
course.
we had 2 trips to Nantucket this summer. We just had to cancel both of them. And
Oh.
so, we might have to consider a boat ride as.
I was
a
gonna say,
backup.
I think we could probably either underwrite, or just go. But I think a field trip there would really be useful.
Yeah, I do too.
And inspirational.
Yeah. Maybe we'll put that on the agenda for next month, but if you want to take the cause of outlining what that might mean, that would be great. Do you want to take that on, Sharon?
Yeah, I'll reach out to some of the different organizations in
Okay.
Martha's Vineyard. Nantucket also has some really great programs, but and ask them what they think about that idea.
I would start with that guy who spoke on the video from Martha's Vineyard.
Philippe Jordy, or
Is that his name? Yeah, I don't know.
something like that, yeah.
Philippe Jordy. I'll look
I-
for that in the
I have it.
website.
Right.
Okay.
I'll
Oh, if
send
you have it, you can send it to me.
Right, I'll send it to you.
Great.
And I'm sorry, were you saying something? I interrupted you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm so late. Sorry to be coming at it
No,
late.
that's
Just
quite all right.
listening to the end of your discussion about open space, collaboration, et cetera. I know I brought it up years ago, I think, at this committee, but it seems to me, my recollection is years ago, we were supposed to get any parcel of land that the town was looking at for purchase, donation, et cetera, was supposed to get a pass over by housing, open space, conservation, kind of all the principal needs in town. And I don't know that practice ever really fully happened or continues to happen.
Well,
But
it happens
some-
in reverse for the disposition of land. So if the town has any land that is used for any purpose,
Disposing.
it has to go through various committees, including us, to comment on.
Right.
But I think the town hasn't acquired land for a while, although I can tell you that is ongoing. They're continually looking at places, but I don't.
And then I guess I had a question about my own lack of understanding of what is going on with the National Seashore and land swaps, so to speak, around the Herring River restoration.
I only heard that they are discussing a land swap of some type with the Herring River that is mutually beneficial.
We should go talk to the seashore too. I don't know who the person is.
Right. There's a woman and Harry has talked to her, but I don't mind if we can go on our own right and see, but I don't know.
I think we should talk to Biden.
Yeah.
Go
Biden
right to the
before-
top.
I'll put you in charge of that, Sharon. You say that but facetiously, but it seems like maybe there's some solution that has us go to our congressman or our senator.
Mhm.
But
I mean,
anyway,
it's certainly a much more favorable political environment than we've had in a long
Right.
time. So
maybe we should. Does anyone actually know the woman who's in charge of the land at the seashore? Her name escapes me right now, but
Isn't it Lauren?
it is something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, Lauren McKee. Lauren,
Yeah. I don't know her, no.
I don't know her either. But
Heard the name.
I don't mind calling her.
well, we should call her up and ask to make an appointment.
Yeah, maybe invite. Can we sit down and just say, is there any strategy? You're
Right.
skeptical, Judy?
Huh?
Maybe
Oh.
things have changed. Who
Yeah.
knows?
All right.
Lauren McKean?
Yeah.
It's a name like that. Why? Let's see. Sharon, you're doing that. Do you want to take that on, Susan?
Yes, and I have her name. I wrote it down. It's Lauren
Okay.
McKean. I had it.
Yeah, just call her and say, would it be possible to sit down and talk? We're so desperate for land.
Yeah.
They got all of it. And is there anything that we can do?
I'd be happy.
No, I'm being I'm not being facetious.
I get it.
There is no other solution. I think the idea of buying land we'll continue to look at that, but it's going to take literally millions.
Yeah.
To buy enough land to have an impact.
Right.
And is there even land to buy?
It's interesting. There is some talk about putting out an RFP for land for the town, but there are, I forget the number, but I believe it's like 10 parcels of commercially owned undeveloped land greater than 6 acres that could be used for housing.
You know, I mean, what about small lots? I mean, scattered small lots, that someone else who wants to build a house that's like not affordable or whatever, you know, can't get a building permit to build on, but perhaps you could get a building permit. You know, we could work on that angle to opening up building permits on smaller lots.
So this would, could we try an avenue that is tiny house affordable development, you know, smaller houses on smaller lots that are only can go forward if they're affordable.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm just articulating what you're saying.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you are our expert on zoning.
So, you know, there's this company it's in Western Mass and Maine that builds these prefab houses.
Yeah.
And some of them are really cute. And they're really quite reasonable. Like, you know, $200,000.
Right. We can look at that, Sharon, but I think we have to figure out both a property and a zoning solution.
Gary, did you ever talk to the people who own the lot next to me?
No. Should I?
I don't know. I have no idea what their plans are for that lot. But the history of the lot is that when we bought next to it,
Mhm.
It's a half acre that had a trailer on it. And so they upgraded the trailer through the 20 or 30 years that they were there. And when it was last sold, the people who bought the lot demolished the trailer. So there is a septic system and a well on that lot, the place where the trailer used to be. And it's a half acre of land. And it's been several years since they demolished that trailer, and nothing has been done to that piece of land. And I'm perfectly happy to have it be vacant land between my house and the next one. But it seems to me it has had some kind of domicile on it, and the well and the septic were there, and you know.
Do you know who owns it?
Yeah, Judy.
I do not.
Judy, do you know the actual address?
Well, I'm 135, and so it's the next number up, 140, 142.
140 Coles Neck?
Yes. There's a house. There's a house that I think is 161, and I'm 135.
Judy, do me a favor. Judy, go look outside, not now, but go look outside in the next day or so and send me your best guess on what you think the house number is, and I'll check with Nancy Vale.
Okay. Well, you should be able to look on the map and see.
Yeah.
My house, and then David's house, and there's an empty lot in between.
Just send me the guesstimate of what you think it is, and
All right.
I'll hunt it down. All right. We're approaching.
I think that they paid like 150,000 for that half acre. And then the cost of demolishing the trailer that was on it.
Yeah. If they're willing to sell it for that, I mean, that's a doable amount.
Yeah. I have no idea if they're interested in selling it.
Yeah. And maybe our more viable strategy is not to look for a larger piece of land, but to look for all these small pieces of land.
Well, it's not an either or. I think that's.
No,
Right.
you're right, Susan. You're quite right. All right. We have a number of action items for our next meeting. Is there anything else we want to add to this topic for now? All right. Will tell you that we are trying to redesign our website. Anybody have any
Yay.
interest? Yes, but anybody have any interest in working on this?
Oh my God. No ability, zero ability.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm in the same boat, and I'm just overwhelmed with 95 Lawrence
you're-
project right now.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
about like the CDP people or I don't know.
We approached them. They're supposed to get back to us, but
It's not the design of the website that is, I mean, I think we think, at least my understanding is it's okay to pay somebody to do the
absolutely. I think we
designing,
have to-
but we have to come up with the content.
you're exactly right. We have to come up with our specifications, and then we can go out to bid for someone to actually build it.
And who's
and we have
what,
some
when
money.
you say our website, what's the organization?
Wellfleet Affordable Housing.
Okay. And there
Um,
is.
You've
I
seen
have
that
to say,
website, right?
I don't think I've ever seen the website.
Yes, well, you'll have to go to Wellfleet Affordable Housing. It's a website from the 50s, I think.
Yeah, it's,
I
It's
think it
not the
actually
most
predates the
impressive.
web.
and like if you go, if you go to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard, their websites are so jazzy.
Right. No, we understand the need.
We need more jazz.
Right. We need someone to work on it, right? Or it'll have to wait until after 95 Lawrence is resolved to
That,
move forward.
that might not be a bad thing. I mean, I would volunteer, except I'm starting to turn my energies more towards the creation of an ADU guidebook
Oh, good.
and trying to work on that a bit.
All right.
So
All right. So think about it. But maybe when we have our next meeting, we'll have more people and we'll talk about revisiting that. The only other piece of information I want to share with you is not such a good one. Habitat had a date of August for the Old Kings Highway that has now been postponed until April of next year.
Oh, Jesus, that's ridiculous.
So, right. Well, again, smart lawyers can just manipulate this to postpone his victory for them.
yeah, exactly.
So
One of those guys should be dead by now. The owner of one of those. I think the guy who started it all.
I think you may be right, or he has had a change of health or something. But anyway, so I don't have any update on any others. Although mentioning Habitat, I mean, that model of self-help home building is not so far from Habitat. The problem with, not the problem, but the limitation with Habitat is the only 60% of AMI. So I wonder.
When we were talking, I kept thinking, wait, is this what Habitat does?
It is, and they do a great job of it. But,
they do.
but again, it's limited, and there's no Wellfleet preference to it. So if we give them land to build something and they open it up to all their applicant pool, it's not actually, it may or may not help the folks in Wellfleet. Although all those people become Wellfleetians. But anyway, all right. I'm proposing the next meeting as September 23rd, Thursday, September 23rd. Does that work for all of you?
So far, well, you know what? I'd have to look in my calendar, actually, which I don't have with me. I may not be able to make it. I might be in a Dune shack.
So do you want to make it a different day?
Let me just
The
look.
16th is the Jewish holiday, so that's no good. And I think
Yeah, I will be in a Dune shack on the 23rd.
If we made it
And
on the 30th, would it make a difference?
I don't think so.
How about other people?
The 30th is fine for me.
All right. Should we change it to the 30th?
I'm sorry, but I mean, you know,
No, don't be
certainly
silly.
meet without
Why
me.
should you be sorry for that? Enjoy it. Have a wonderful time.
Believe me, I will.
Don't take your cell phone with you.
Gary, is there any update on Freeman Avenue? Just because.
I can tell you that we had a discussion about the RFP. It was given to somebody to work on, and I haven't seen it since.
An RFP for Freeman Avenue.
For Freeman Ave by itself, yeah. I mean, originally, Susan, we were thinking we can't combine it with Old Kings Highway, but we could put out another RFP, and if by chance, if the same people were awarded the contract, they could coordinate the construction around it, so it'd be a little less.
Would Habitat take a single site?
It's not
They have.
it's not their preferred. They would, and they certainly would if they could combine it with one that has 4 others.
Yeah, but that's who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Well, and again, that also goes back to the timetable for when are they going to get to work on Oak Kings Highway. So.
Right.
We just don't know. All righty. Anybody have anything else?
Not at
Well,
the moment.
thank you so much.
And Sharon, maybe when I'm in Wellfleet that week, I'll get in touch with you and maybe we can just get together and think a little bit more about the Martha's Vineyard connection.
Yeah,
Right.
and I will try to reach out to them before and see if they think that there's anything that good that could come from it.
Good.
All right, Sharon, you have the Martha's Vineyard follow-up. Susan, you have the Denny's follow-up.
And the seashore.
And the seashore. And I have to do the things for John. And I'll update my email list. Sharon, anything else? Well, thank you all.
Thank you, Gary, for.
Stay dry, stay healthy, everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.